Hey, what's up guys? It's Jeremy and let's talk. We had another shooting this week, this time in a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas. 26 people killed. What is going on?
He was shooting people while he was walking in there. Everybody was so quiet. You could only hear the sound of the bullets. People screaming and people crying and "Mama, where are you, Mama?" The little kids.
I wanted you guys to write in this week and provide me with honest questions, and I'll try to provide you with honest answers. April wrote in, and this is what she said. Before I was a believer, referring to her faith in Jesus, I always wrestled with reconciling a good, loving Father, God, with so much evil in the world. This is probably one of the top 5 obstacles for people putting their faith in any sort of God. Evil in the world, suffering. A good God, an all-powerful God in this world, really? Let's talk about it. So how do we approach this? How do we think of suffering, and where is God in all of this? I think there are 3 basic approaches that people can take, and the first one is this: there is no God. There's no God, there's no meaning, there's no purpose behind all of this. This is just nature taking its course. It's a dog-eat-dog world, might makes right, survival of the fittest, and it may not be pretty, but that's just the way that it is. Now, I can see why that would be compelling to some people, but man, does it introduce a serious problem, and that's that you can't call shootings like this wrong anymore. You can't call them evil, you can't call them unjust, because if there is no God, you lose all objective, transcendent standards by which you can measure morality. There is no such thing as right or wrong. There is no such thing as morality. It's merely a social construct. And I think most people know intuitively that just cannot be the case. There's something about this that is so outrageous. We know this can't be right. So at the end of the day, I think most of us know, whether we can explain it or not, that that answer really just doesn't hold any water. Now, the second approach that people take is the belief that there is a God and he is powerful and he could have stopped it, but he didn't stop it, and I don't understand how there can be any good in this, and so I'm mad at him. And I can also see why some people find this compelling and they settle into this position, because I too cannot conceive of any way that this can be good. What good could come from this? And whatever good can come from this, I can't possibly imagine that it would be so good that it would justify allowing this kind of thing to happen. That's how a lot of people feel, and I understand that. It makes sense, makes a lot of sense. The problem with it, in my opinion, is that that person is acknowledging the reality of a God that is so big that he can control the universe. But it insists on me being able to comprehend what God's purposes might be. Yes, there is a God. Yes, he is powerful. Yes, he is in control. But I cannot comprehend what he's doing. And if I can't comprehend what he's doing, there must be no good reason for it. You see, what I'm doing there is insisting that whatever it is God's up to, I must be able to understand it. And if I can't understand it, then there must be no good explanation for it. Now, I sure would like to know what the meaning is behind any number of great tragedies. You remember that tsunami that killed like 100,000 people? How many people did it kill? Between 230 and 280,000 people killed.
Was da hinten abgeht? Nein. Run! 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 Go! Go!
So what's God's explanation for these kinds of things? How can this world be working toward anything that's good? And that's where a lot of people have settled their roots. And it's a miserable way to live, because you believe, yes, there is a God, and yes, he's powerful, but he's got a terrible plan. And so here you are now living your life in the hands of a really bad God. And if that's the way the world turns, then you're right. This is a terrible place to be, and God is no good. I just think there's a better way to approach this. Which brings us to our third approach to suffering and evil, and that is that there is behind all of this a big God, a good God, a powerful God who's in control of all things and going to work everything out in such a way that's gonna make so much sense. Now, I'm not claiming that I understand how that's gonna work. I have no idea how tragedies like these are going to somehow fit into the puzzle in such a way that we are just praising God for what he's done. But my sense of hope and peace and well-being is not resting in, and cannot possibly rest in, my ability to comprehend what God is up to in his sovereign orchestration of the world. I can't even understand what my city government is doing. My happiness does not depend on my ability to comprehend and explain all the details of what God is doing in and through all the evil acts that are occurring in the world. If it did, I would be doomed to misery. I'm okay with some mystery. I'm okay with it. And the reason I'm okay with it is because when you look at what is, in my opinion, the most amazing life-giving event in human history, the death and resurrection of Jesus, it looked at first like a tragedy until the story continued, at which point it made sense of all of the suffering that preceded it. From the vantage point of the resurrection, you can look back on the death of Jesus and see glory that was hidden prior to the end of the story. And what the Christian faith teaches is that just as Jesus' death led to a resurrection, there is also a resurrection coming for this world. And from the vantage point of that resurrection, you'll be able to look back on all the suffering of this world, and you will have a new lens by which to interpret it. And what that provides is hope in the midst of tragedy, because 26, 27 people dead in Texas is not the end of the story. The end of the story is that this world will be restored to what it is intended to be. The end of the story is that, in the words of Tolkien, all the sad things of this world will become untrue. So that's my take. I don't know all the details of how things will unfold, but I do know, based on the resurrection of Jesus, that there is a resurrection coming, and there is a restoration coming that gives me hope so I can hold on in the midst of tragedy. And that's what I'm doing, man. I am holding on, because where else am I gonna find hope and peace in the midst of a world like this? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep your questions coming. You can leave them in the comments section down below. If this is helpful for you, give the video a like, give the video a share. If you want to catch the videos when they come out each week, hit the subscribe button and that little bell next to it so that you get a notification. Until next time, can I encourage you, put your hope in a God who understands all this, who's going to make perfect sense of it someday. He really will. Okay, see you soon.